When I first saw 1995's Mortal Kombat, I hated it. But because of the new movie that's coming out this week, I felt like I needed to at least give it a second chance. I mean, it can't be all bad, right? Otherwise, I might just be wasting 2 hours of my life. Hey everybody, my name is Greg, and on this channel I defend all the nerdy movies and TV shows that you like that the internet says you shouldn't, because on this channel, your fandom matters. Okay, so I want to say that at the very start of this movie, it's actually really freaking awesome because it starts with that electronic theme, the Mortal Kombat. And it just like goes right into it with some of the fighting, the staging, and like the where they were, like the set design was really cool, like right out of the video game. And we're just going. Plus the main villain, Shang Tsung, played by Hiroyuki Tagawa. He's actually probably the best actor in this whole movie. He kind of knows what kind of film he's in, and he goes way over the top, which is fantastic. Outside of him, don't really like any of the other performances. They really didn't do much for me. However, what did work was the structure, and what I mean by that is the motivation. Specifically, the motivation of the three main characters to get on the boat to get to Mortal Kombat Island. Liu Kang goes on the boat out of his own self-doubt, and Johnny Cage goes on the boat because he wants to prove all of the haters wrong. And Sonya Blade wants to go on the boat so she can get revenge on Kano, who killed her partner. Like, all of these motivations actually make a lot of sense and are pretty good. Plus, it takes into account that it's their faults that get them into this situation. It's all of their character faults. So in the 90s, we started getting into more of this transition between like early CGI and then like practical effects. And I actually think this movie does a pretty good job. And I think the effects actually hold up okay, especially considering when this movie took place. I also really like the set design of all of these places. I thought it felt very authentic. They weren't in front of a green screen the entire time, which felt kind of refreshing, especially nowadays. And I really liked the costume choices. I mean, they felt very much like they were out of the video game. But again, there are so many weird things about this movie. Like, we don't know what any of the rules are. We don't know what the tournament is set up. Although there seem to be rules in place, we just don't know what they are. I also want to point out that the editing is really good with this, specifically the fight scenes. I mean, being able to make some of the cuts to actually hide some of the actors' weaknesses with fighting actually works really well in this situation. And I actually think it makes the fight scenes even seem a little bit better. I also really like how they built Goro up. It was almost like he was a giant in the world of professional wrestling, where he beats up a bunch of jobbers and is built up to being this big threat. To me, there are things I've already pointed out that don't work for me. The writing, the acting, some of the plot stuff. You would think that that would be enough to make people really not like this movie, but there's a very fervent fan base. So I just couldn't figure out. Like, the small things that I really like seem to work, but those are not necessarily a part of the storytelling aspect of it. So what is it about this movie that really worked? And it didn't come to me until about a little over an hour into the film. And then it finally hit me. It dawned on me. This movie actually treated the characters with the kind of dignity they deserve. And they treated the source material with a certain amount of dignity. So what do I mean by that? So the other video game movies that came out before this were Double Dragon, Super Mario Brothers, and Street Fighter the movie. Movies that kind of really departed from video games and treated the audience like they were idiots. At least this movie realized that this was a movie for fans of a fighting video game. Not only that, a violent fighting video game. And it seems to me that just simply by respecting the fans and respecting the source material and providing with some semblance of respect, that is really a big thing. Now, this doesn't take into account, like I said, the other criticisms I have, or even the whitewashing of Raiden. Besides all of that, the set design, the costumes, and the action scenes were really trying to be authentic. They take into all of the fan service stuff from Scorpion's, all of his catchphrases, including the ones that sound kind of silly.
Get over here! Come here! Get down here!
These are certain things that actually make sense. Or even Goro looking like Goro from the video game. Like, there is a certain amount of respect here for the source material, and that's when it hit me, was that this was bigger than that. There's a lot of things about this movie that I finally understood why people really like it and why people revere this as being a real good video game movie, because it had that type of reverence for the source material. Was it perfect? Did it work out really well? Was it executed very well? For me, not really, but I understand why people like it, and that's the most important thing. Now I want to hear from you Mortal Kombat fans. What did you like about the movie? And are you looking forward to seeing the new one coming out this Friday? Leave a comment down below. I want to hear from you because your fandom does matter, and I hope to see you in another video.